That's why I'm encouraging people to look into this yourselves and understand the real revolution we need is the evolution towards a theistic worldview. There's a reason why our ancestors, going back thousands and thousands of years, had a chance to think about these questions and why the nation state was formed and why the family was formed. And most of the traditional values have been passed down to you from your parents and grandparents, have their origins way back in time. And for many thousands of years, those were proven successful models. So what we have now is a group of amoral, wealthy, in many cases criminals saying, throw out all the combined knowledge of the last 2,000 or 3,000 years, and that they want to give us this sort of TV dinner thing out of their little microwave where they have their Freudianism and their Darwinism and their feminism and all these other, instant garbage that they've cooked up. Now, you mentioned Bernays, and let's get to Freud, for example. When you really start to study Freud, he's another one of their little 10 gods where he's promoting, basically sort of drifting in the direction of pedophilia, where he starts talking about Oedipus complex, that there is no God, that this is all a fiction. So he's another one of the little wreckers that they've created to try to wreck any type of common sense in society.
That's a good point, yeah. And Freud was fairly open about that. He was open about the desire to tear down Western civilization because supposedly it was, quote, fascist. And he, along with Erich Fromm and Marcuse and Adorno and Horkheimer and all the Frankfurt School guys, the critical theory Marxists, who I've studied quite a bit, they were all connected in sort of collating their research and putting out these manuals for deconstructing the fascist patriarchal male society of the West, quite consciously. And what they talked about was the need to do this that it could be done through degeneracy. So, for example, Adorno talks about degrading the arts explicitly. He says that you can degrade the arts and remold the society that way. And I'm glad you mentioned Freud because he not only talks about hinting at kind of skirting around the issues of pedophilia, but he also at times mentioned ritual abuse. There are a few, if I recall, cases where Freud mentions that. So this was kind of known then as well as now, and this is a common theme in movies all the time. The idea of the dissociative state, the trauma-based mind control type state, that stuff, as far as I can tell, is real. In fact, one of the globalists that I cover was Dr. John C. Willey, who is one of the MK Ultra doctors and a pioneer of the idea of inducing dissociative states through LSD. Now, Aldous Huxley had written about this before, but it's Lilly who really went crazy with it. And so he's kind of the Alfred Kinsey of LSD. So he was actually, according to his own books, giving children LSD, creating these dissociative states. And I think that's why we actually see this meme throughout so many movies of the idea of the person with multiple personalities and so forth and it's also connected to, as you pointed out, the pedophilia and the abuse. Once again, also in a bunch of movies, this idea of the abuse of children, the dissociative states, something that we think of as, oh, that's just movies, that's just movie stuff. But no, it's actually, at least according to many of these so-called doctors, which I would just say that they're mad scientists, they're very candid about it in their own writings.
Well, they're extremely amoral and often quite degenerate.